Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today I'll be showing you how to make this mini summer dress with long puff sleeves, open back and cutout at the front. You can find the sewing pattern and all details in the description below. Let's begin. Take two pairs of strap pieces and match their wrong sides together. Pin them just along the vertical inner edge and sew on your regular sewing machine. Turn both inside out when you're done. Use an iron set on steam for a neat finish. Take a pair of caps and place them on a flat surface so that the notch on the top of the caps is to your left. Take a strap piece, turn it upside down and place it in between the two layers of caps. You should match the notch on the caps with the inner edge of the strap piece. Align all fabric edges, pin the entire upper edge of the caps and sew it all on your regular sewing machine. Turn the piece inside out and use an iron set on steam for a neat finish. Repeat for the other pair of caps. Take a pair of caps. The wrong sides should now be facing each other. Pin them along the vertical straight line. Use a long straight stitch on your regular sewing machine and sew along the pinned edge 1 cm away from the edge of the fabric, leaving the threads open on both ends. Sew along the same line again, this time 1/2 cm away from the fabric edge. I like to tie a knot at the end of the threads I'm not using, just to hold the gathering in place. Gently pull the ends of the bobbin threads to gather the fabric until you achieve the desired effect. Distribute the fabric evenly. You can stitch over the ruffled fabric using a regular stitch, including a back stitch in the beginning and at the end, to set the fabric in place. Repeat for the other pair. Take your center front and side front pieces. Lay side front on top of the center front with the right sides together. Match both pieces along the inner seam allowance line and pin them in place. Repeat this step for the other side front piece. Sew the pinned fabric on your regular sewing machine and then finish off both edges on your overlocker. Use an iron set on steam for a neat finish. Take the whole front piece that you've just sewn in the previous step and one cap piece. Match the notch on the cap with the seam on the front piece, align all fabric edges and pin the fabric in place, making sure it is evenly distributed. Repeat this step for the other pair of caps. Sew all the pinned fabric on your regular sewing machine and then finish it off on your overlocker. Use an iron set on steam for a neat finish. Take the two center back pieces. Finish off both edges of the fabric on your overlocker. Mark the seam allowance along the finish edges with a tailor's jog. Do it on the right side of the garment. It will help you line up the zipper neatly. To shorten your zipper, measure 43 cm starting from the top stop. Mark where you want your zipper to end and sew over this line on your regular sewing machine with a zigzag stitch set on 4 width and the lowest possible length. Cut off the excess around 2 cm or 1 inch below the finish line. When you're ready, put the garment right side up and unzip the zipper. Take the left-hand side of the zipper, turn it around and place it down. Make sure that the zipper coil lines up with the seam allowance you've just marked. Pin the zipper to the garment, placing the pins along the fabric edge. Use an invisible zipper foot, line the left groove of the foot with the zipper coils and sew it slowly using a straight stitch, removing the pins as you go. Back stitch when you reach the end. Pin the other side of the zipper just like you did previously. Make sure that both sides of the zipper are perfectly aligned. If they are, sew the zipper using a straight stitch, but this time line the right groove with the zipper coils. To finish the rest of the seam allowance, close the zipper, place the right sides of the fabric together and move the tails of the zipper out of the way. Pin as you go. Switch to the regular zipper foot. Place the needle as close to the last stitching line as possible, but around half a centimeter back, and stitch away from the zipper for a few centimeters. Switch to a regular presser foot and complete the seam. To secure the tails of the zipper, pin them to the seam allowance and sew over. Take your center back and side back pieces. Lay side back on top of the center back with the right sides together. Match both pieces along the inner seam allowance line and pin them in place. Repeat this step for the other center back and side back pieces. Sew the pinned fabric on your regular sewing machine, but don't finish the raw edges on your overlocker just yet. Take the entire front of the dress and the back that you've just sewn. Match the side seam allowance lines and the straps, pinning the fabric as you go. a straight stitch to 4 or 5 in length and sew the straps and both sides of the dress on your regular sewing machine using a contrasting thread. It will be your basting stitch. Put the dress on and see how it fits your body. If it's a bit too loose, take some fabric in evenly on both side seams and the seams between center back and side back if needed. Once you're done, mark where you placed your pins with a tailor's chalk on the wrong side of the fabric. Remove the pins. Get rid of the basting stitch along both side seams and at the shoulders. Make sure to leave the marks you've made with the tailor's chalk. You will need them later on. If you've taken some fabric in on both seams between center back and side back, sew over the old stitching lines using a regular straight stitch and a matching thread. Finish off the seams on your overlocker. Use an iron set on steam for a neat finish. To make ties, take one strip of fabric, feed the fabric into the wider end of the bias tape maker and pull through. As the bias tape is pulled through, press it down with your iron set on steam. Repeat the pull and press action until you reach the end. Fold the strip of fabric you've been working on in half and press it down with your iron. Continue till the end. Fold the end of your tie towards the wrong side and press it down with an iron. Edge stitch along the entire open edge of your tie on your regular sewing machine. Use a lightning bolt stitch if your fabric has some stretch. Repeat for all ties. To finish the back of your dress, place your back piece with the right side up and unzip the zipper. Take your invisible binding tape and match its right side with the right side of the dress, starting at the strap and going all the way down to the nearest seam. Pin the fabric as you go. Don't stretch the binding. Take one long tie and place it in between the binding tape and the dress, right where the notch is. If you want your ties higher or lower, feel free to change their position. Using a straight stitch and a regular sewing machine, sew along the binding tape but stop at the nearest seam. Match the rest of the binding tape with the dress. Cut the excess binding so that it's just 1 centimeter longer than the garment and fold the end toward the wrong side of the binding. Continue sewing till the end. Then trim the seam allowance to half the width. Press a 1 centimeter fold along the long edge of the binding. Pin as you go or use an iron. Fold the binding again so that the entirety of it is on the wrong side of the dress. Pin the fabric in place. stitch the binding down using a straight stitch. Repeat for the other side of the dress. Match the right sides of the straps together and pin them in place. Sew the fabric on your regular sewing machine and finish it off on your overlocker. Use an iron set on steam for a neat finish. Take one sleeve piece. Use a long straight stitch on your regular sewing machine and sew along the entire sleeve cap 1 cm away from the edge of the fabric, leaving the threads open on both ends. Sew along the same line again, this time 1/2 cm away from the fabric edge. There are proper markings on your sleeve which tell you where to start and end your stitch line. Gently pull the ends of the bobbin threads to gather the fabric until you achieve the desired effect and length of both the front and the back cap. Distribute the fabric evenly. Repeat for the other sleeve. Take your dress joined at the shoulders and one sleeve piece. Match the right sides together and align notches on the sleeve with notches on the dress. The notch indicating the front of the sleeve should match the seam between the strap and the cap. Make sure to distribute the fabric evenly and pin it in place. Direct the seam between the straps towards the back of the dress. Sew the entire sleeve cap on your regular sewing machine, sewing on the dress and not on the sleeve. Finish the fabric off on your overlocker. To finish both side seams and the sleeves, match all fabric edges and pin them as you go. Sew it all on your regular sewing machine. At this point you can put the dress on and see how the sleeves fit your arms. If they're too loose to your liking, take a bit in. If they're too tight, a slightly smaller seam allowance can make wonders. Finish off all seams on your overlocker. Take your visible binding tape and fold it in half along the long edge. Iron it to hold it in place. Fold both long edges towards the middle of the tape and iron it again. Fold it for the last time and press it down with an iron. Trim a few millimeters from the seam allowance around the bust cutout so that the seam allowance is around 7 millimeters wide, measuring from the first stitch line to the edge of the fabric. Take the tape and open it up. Fold the end of the bias tape 1 cm towards the wrong side. Place the folded end of the binding right where the bust cutout begins. Make sure that the right side of the binding is facing the wrong side of the garment. Match the edge of the tape with the edge of the garment and pin as you go. When you reach the end of the cutout, cut off the excess binding tape, leaving 1 cm for finishing. Fold the end of the bias tape towards the wrong side. To attach the ties, take one short tie and place it in between the binding tape and the dress right at the top of the cutout. Pin it in place. Do the same with the other tie. Using a straight stitch and a regular sewing machine, sew along the entire cutout 8 mm away from the fabric edge. Press the binding upward away from the garment. Turn the garment inside out and fold the binding to the outside. Pin all the way around. Stitching from the outside of the garment and removing the pins as you go, sew along the folded edge of the binding. The ties are now directed away from the cutout. To change that, take one tie, place it in the opposite direction and attach it to the dress by sewing it by hand. Repeat this step for the other tie. To finish off the bottom edge of the dress and the sleeves, I recommend using a 3-thread rolled hem stitch. Set your machine according to the settings in the overlocker manual. Allow the feed dogs to move the fabric without pushing or pulling it manually. It will be a slow process because the stitch length is short. To finish an overlock thread chain, I simply untangle it and tie a knot right at the edge of the fabric. Then I cut off excess threads. And that's it, your new dress is done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching.